The dim glow of St. Joseph's Hospital's fluorescent bulbs bathed the children's ward as Lucas Bennett carried his 3-year-old son, Noah, along the lengthy hallway. At 36, Lucas's face bore the marks of endless, restless nights and the burden of duties that felt too immense for one man to shoulder. Noah wore his beloved Batman pajamas, the vivid green fabric a lively contrast to the stark hospital surroundings. Despite his sickness, the young boy's eyes still shone with that glint of wonder that filled Lucas's heart with both warmth and worry. "Papa, will the doctors help me feel okay?" Noah asked, his tiny voice resonating faintly in the corridor. Lucas shifted his son's weight in his arms, cautious not to jostle the IV line inserted earlier. "Yes, champ. The doctors here are brilliant. They'll look after you well." For the past 6 months, Lucas had been waging a fight he never anticipated facing alone. Noah had been diagnosed with a rare blood condition requiring specialized care and frequent hospital visits. As a construction worker, Lucas's insurance covered essentials, but the growing medical costs were overwhelming him financially. He'd taken unpaid leave to tend to Noah, and their modest savings had vanished weeks ago. Tonight, he'd rushed Noah to the emergency room because his fever had soared alarmingly, and Lucas knew waiting until dawn wasn't an option. As they ventured deeper into the hospital, Lucas tried to suppress the dread that gnawed at him relentlessly. What if he couldn't pay for Noah's necessary treatment? What if he faltered as a father when his son needed him most? They passed the hospital's administrative area, where, through glass doors, Lucas glimpsed well-dressed individuals in what seemed like an evening gathering. Board members, he guessed, discussing budgets and policies, while families like his grappled with the intricate world of health care. Suddenly, Noah perked up in Lucas's arms and pointed toward the glass doors. "Papa, look!" Lucas followed his son's gaze, curious about what had caught his attention. "That's Mommy," Noah declared with unwavering certainty, his small finger aiming at a woman in a refined cream blouse and navy skirt standing at the head of a conference table. Lucas's heart froze. The woman Noah pointed to was evidently someone significant, surrounded by executives and speaking with the assured authority of a seasoned leader. She seemed in her early 30s, with auburn hair neatly tied back and an aura of prosperity that hinted at wealth and influence. "Noah, sweetheart, that's not Mommy," Lucas said softly, though his voice wavered slightly. Noah's mother had left them when Noah was barely a year old, unable to cope with motherhood's demands and choosing her career instead. Lucas hadn't heard from her since, but Noah shook his head stubbornly, as children do when they're certain of something adults have overlooked. "That's Mommy. I know her scent. I know her voice." At that moment, the woman in the meeting room glanced up, her eyes meeting Lucas's through the glass. For a brief instant, her poised demeanor wavered, and Lucas saw a flicker of recognition, shock, and perhaps pain cross her face. The woman excused herself from the meeting and approached the door. As she drew near, Lucas realized Noah was right. Despite the costly attire and polished look, this was indeed Emily Harper, the woman who had given birth to Noah and then vanished from their lives. "Lucas?" Emily said quietly, as she stepped into the hallway, her voice barely audible. "Emily," Lucas replied, his voice strained with emotions he thought he'd buried long ago. Noah stretched his small arms toward Emily, his face glowing with delight. "Mommy, I knew it was you." Emily's carefully maintained composure shattered. Tears welled in her eyes as she gazed at the little boy she hadn't seen in over 2 years. "Noah," she whispered, her voice trembling. Lucas stood motionless, holding Noah between them, uncertain of what to say or do. The woman before him bore little resemblance to the struggling young mother who had left them. She was clearly thriving now, perhaps wealthy, judging by her designer outfit, and her role leading what seemed like a hospital board meeting. "What are you doing here?" Emily asked, though she seemed to grasp the answer as she spoke. Her eyes took in Noah's hospital bracelet and the IV line, and her face paled. "Noah's unwell," Lucas said plainly. "He's been in and out of hospitals for months. Tonight his fever spiked too high, so I brought him to the emergency room." Emily's hand flew to her mouth. "What's wrong with him?" "A blood condition," Lucas explained, his voice steady despite the surreal conversation. The doctors say it's manageable, but it requires ongoing treatment and medications that cost more than I can afford. Emily looked at Noah, who was still reaching for her with complete trust and affection, as if she'd never been gone. "Can I hold him?" she asked tentatively. Lucas paused briefly before carefully passing Noah to Emily's arms. The little boy snuggled against her instantly, as if some deep instinct recalled the comfort of his mother's embrace. "I missed you, Mommy," Noah said simply, his small hand patting Emily's cheek. Emily closed her eyes, holding Noah tightly as tears streamed down her face. "I missed you too, my darling, more than you'll ever know." Lucas watched this reunion with mixed feelings. Part of him was furious at Emily for abandoning them when they needed her most. Yet another part, seeing how much Noah needed his mother, felt a sense of relief. "Emily," Lucas said quietly, "what happened to you? Where have you been?" Emily opened her eyes and looked at Lucas over Noah's head. "After I left, I poured myself into work. I started a healthcare consulting firm, and it grew beyond my wildest dreams. I became successful, even wealthy, but I convinced myself you and Noah were better off without me." She paused, gently stroking Noah's hair. "I told myself I was too selfish, too focused on my career to be a good mother. I thought staying away meant you could find someone better for Noah." "But you never reached out," Lucas said, trying to keep the pain from his voice. "I was scared," Emily admitted. "Scared you'd reject me. Scared Noah wouldn't know me. Scared I'd hurt you both again." Noah looked up at Emily with earnest eyes. "Will you stay this time, Mommy?" The question lingered like a challenge. Emily looked from Noah to Lucas, then back to her son. "If your papa allows it," she said softly, "I'd like to try. I want to help care for you and ensure you get all the medicine you need to feel better." Lucas studied Emily's face, searching for any hint that this was a fleeting choice she'd abandon when it grew tough. But he saw genuine regret and a resolve that hadn't been there 3 years ago. "Noah needs his mother," Lucas said at last. "And honestly, I need help. I can't do this alone anymore." Over the following weeks, Emily gradually re-entered their lives. She used her wealth and connections to secure the best care for Noah from top specialists nationwide. She also leveraged her influence as a major hospital donor to support other families facing similar struggles. More importantly, she began rebuilding her bond with Noah and earning Lucas's trust. She attended every doctor's visit, learned to administer Noah's medications, and spent hours reading to him and playing his favorite games. And 3 months later, Noah's condition had improved significantly thanks to the excellent care he received. The three of them sat in Noah's hospital room, reading stories together as Noah underwent his weekly treatment. "Papa," Noah said, looking up from his book, "are we a family again?" Lucas and Emily exchanged glances. They'd been having cautious conversations about the future, moving slowly and focusing on Noah's needs. "We're working on it, champ," Lucas said gently. "What do you think about that?" Noah smiled his bright, innocent smile that had carried them through the darkest times. "I think families help each other when someone's sick, and families stay together." Emily reached over and took Lucas's hand. "Noah's very wise for a 3-year-old. Lucas squeezed her hand gently. "Yes, he is. He knew who you were, even when I didn't believe him." "Children see with their hearts," Emily said softly. "Maybe we should all try that more often." 6 months later, Noah was declared to be in full remission. Emily had founded a charity to assist families facing medical crises, and she'd learned to balance her thriving career with her role as a mother. Lucas had returned to work, now secure in knowing Noah would always have the care he needed. More importantly, he'd learned that sometimes people leave not because they don't love you, but because they haven't yet learned to love themselves. As they left the hospital together after Noah's final treatment, the little boy looked up at his parents and said, "I told you that was Mommy. I never forgot her." Emily knelt down and hugged Noah tightly. "And I never forgot you, my love. Not for a single day." Lucas reflected, "Sometimes the most meaningful reunions happen in the most unexpected places. And sometimes it takes a child's steadfast belief to remind adults that love, true love, never truly fades. It simply waits patiently for the right moment to find its way home."